Ever pondered about the kind of lawbreakers that make even the toughest jails tremble? Who could possibly be the most dreaded inmate in such fortresses, and what unspeakable acts landed them there? If your curiosity veers towards understanding the darkest corners of criminal minds, you're in the right place. This video unveils 10 of the vilest individuals ever to be confined behind prison walls, and you'll surely breathe a sigh of relief knowing you're safe from their reach. Ranging from relentless serial killers to cold-blooded mass murderers, these top 10 prisoners that are too evil for hell have committed acts so heinous they're beyond comprehension. Number 10. Elizabeth Wetlaufer stands as one of Canada's most notorious criminals, whose heinous acts sent shockwaves through the nation. As a nurse in long-term care homes, she was entrusted with the care of the most vulnerable. Yet, she turned her position of trust into a tool for malevolence. Between 2007 and 2016, she maliciously ended the lives of 8 elderly patients under her care, using lethal doses of insulin as her weapon of choice. It wasn't just about the murders. Wetlaufer also admitted to attempting to take the lives of several others. What made her actions even more chilling was the lack of motive. Many of her crimes seemed random, without a particular reason or vendetta against the victims. She was the embodiment of a serial killer, working behind the scenes, cloaked under the guise of a caring medical professional. It was only when she confessed to her crimes in 2016 that the gravity of her actions came to light. She was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Her story serves as a chilling reminder that evil can lurk where we least expect it, even in those who are supposed to heal and protect. Number 9. Dennis Rader. Dennis Rader, infamously known as the BTK Killer, an acronym for Bind, Torture, Kill, is one of the most chilling figures in American criminal history. Operating primarily in the Wichita, Kansas area, Rader's reign of terror spanned from the 1970s to the early 1990s, during which he committed a series of brutal murders while eluding authorities. Rader had a disturbing signature. He would break into homes, bind his victims, and then torture and strangle them. His need for attention was evident in the taunting letters he sent to the media and police, describing the details of his crimes. This communication with the authorities became a critical aspect of his modus operandi. What made the BTK Killer even more unsettling was his seemingly ordinary life outside of his heinous acts. Rader was a church council president, a Cub Scout leader, and worked in local government, the very definition of a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's the dichotomy between his public persona and his dark, violent side that makes his story particularly unnerving. The BTK Killer's crimes went unsolved for decades, with Rader successfully evading capture. It wasn't until 2005, spurred by his own need for recognition on a series of renewed communications with the media, that he was finally caught. Ironically, a computer disk Rader sent to the police provided the lead that resulted in his capture. Once apprehended, Rader confessed to 10 murders. He was subsequently sentenced to 10 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. His story is a haunting testament to the fact that sometimes the most dangerous threats come from those hiding in plain sight. Number 8. Rodney Halboer. Rodney Halboer, often referred to as the Gypsy Hill Killer, is a convicted serial killer linked to a series of violent rapes and murders that occurred in the mid-1970s on the San Francisco Peninsula, California. The series of crimes was named after the Gypsy Hill area in Pacifica, where one of the first victims was found. The horrific crime spree began in early 1976, and within a short span of just a few months, 5 young women were brutally killed. Each victim had been stabbed multiple times, and some had been raped. The shocking violence and rapid succession of the crimes put the entire region on high alert. For decades, these murders remained unsolved. The trail went cold, and Halboer continued his life of crime, committing rapes, assaults, and other violent acts in different states. Rodney Halboer's connection to the Gypsy Hill killings would not become apparent until 2014, when a DNA match linked him to 2 of the murders. At that time, Halboer was already incarcerated in Oregon for an unrelated attempted murder. The DNA match was a significant breakthrough for the decades-long cold case. In 2018, after a trial that lasted 2 weeks, Rodney Halboer was convicted for the murders of 2 of the Gypsy Hill victims. He was subsequently sentenced to life in prison. Although Halboer was only tried for 2 of the murders, he is widely believed to have been responsible for the other Gypsy Hill killings as well. Halboer's conviction brought a semblance of closure to a community that had been haunted by these crimes for over 40 years. However, his case is a stark reminder of the persistence needed in the pursuit of justice for victims of cold cases. Number 7. Andrei Chicatillo, known as the Butcher of Rostov, stands out as one of the most notorious serial killers in Soviet history, having claimed the lives of at least 53 individuals between 1978 and 1990. Born in Ukraine in 1936, Chicatillo served in the Soviet Army during World War II. After his military service, he settled in Rostov-on-Don, where his dark desires manifested into a series of gruesome murders. Predominantly targeting women and children, Chicatillo's modus operandi was chilling. He would often strangle his victims and then proceed to mutilate their remains, occasionally resorting to acts of cannibalism. In 1992, the net finally closed around him, leading to his arrest. Chicatillo confessed to his crimes and was found guilty of 52 murders. The court handed down a death sentence, and he faced a firing squad in February 1994. Only 2 decades after his death, the shadow of Chicatillo's malevolence looms large, marking him as one of the most terrifying figures in criminal history. Number 6. Ise Sagawa. Ise Sagawa emerged as a notorious figure in the 1980s after he was found guilty of the gruesome murder and subsequent cannibalism of René Hardeveld, a Dutch student. Since his release, Sagawa's notoriety has inexplicably transformed into a form of celebrity in Japan. He has been featured on talk shows, and multiple articles have been penned about his life. Additionally, he authored an autobiography that chronicles his heinous act and subsequent incarceration. Sagawa hailed from an affluent Tokyo family and pursued his studies at the esteemed Sorbonne University in Paris. It was in 1981 that he brutally ended the life of his classmate, René Hardeveld, in her apartment and then tried to consume her remains. Authorities, finding evidence of cannibalism in the apartment, arrested him the very next day. While charged with murder, his mental state came under scrutiny. After evaluations, he was diagnosed with a psychological disorder characterized by impulsivity and lack of empathy. Remarkably, after a mere 2 years in confinement due to his diagnosis, he was released, albeit with continuous monitoring and mandatory regular check-ins with medical professionals. His heinous act notwithstanding, there's an unsettling interest surrounding Sagawa in Japan. His story continues to captivate many, especially given the paradox of his brutal act and subsequent freedom. Number 5. Erich Rudolph, often referred to as the Olympic Park Bomber, carried out several bombings across the United States from 1996 to 1998. His attacks targeted abortion facilities, a gay club, and notably the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Born in Merritt Island, Florida in 1966, and later raised in North Carolina, Rudolph joined the U.S. Army after dropping out of school. He served as a paratrooper between 1986 to 1989. In the subsequent years, his beliefs grew radical, and he became a fervent anti-abortion advocate. Turning to violence, Rudolph crafted homemade explosives, using guidance from the Anarchist Cookbook. His reign of terror spanned several locations: 2 abortion clinics in Birmingham, Alabama, an LGBTQ+ club in Atlanta, Georgia, and the Centennial Olympic Park during the 1966 Summer Olympics. These attacks claimed 2 lives and wounded over 150 individuals. After an extensive manhunt by the FBI, Rudolph was captured in 2003, having evaded authorities by hiding in the Appalachian Mountains for over half a decade. 2 years later, in 2005, he admitted his guilt and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He is currently incarcerated at ADX Florence, a high-security federal prison in Colorado. Number 4. Bradford Bishop is a notorious American criminal who remains on the run for the alleged murder of his family members, his wife, mother, and 3 children. Last seen in March 1976, the bodies of his family have yet to be discovered. Bishop, with a history of violent behavior and alleged domestic abuse, was formally indicted on 4 counts of first-degree murder in June 1976. The gruesome incident reportedly ensued after a heated disagreement concerning his daughter's college aspirations. Bishop reportedly assaulted them with a hammer before embarking on a nationwide escape. Relying on multiple fake identities and names, he's been cited in states like California, North Carolina, Texas, and Florida. Though extensive efforts have been made to locate him, Bishop continues to elude authorities. It's speculated that he might have received assistance from acquaintances or family members to avoid capture. Today, Bradford Bishop stands as one of the enduring names on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, making him a top priority for law enforcement agencies. Number 3. Damien Fox is a notorious inmate sentenced in 2002 for the brutal murders of 2 women in England, resulting in a life sentence without the possibility of parole. With a lengthy criminal record, Fox earned a reputation for his chilling and methodical nature. He brutally ended the lives of 2 women. One was found with a fatal stab wound in her chest while she was asleep, and he strangled the other, leaving both bodies in an abandoned pub. Despite being diagnosed with multiple mental health conditions, including schizophrenia, and having a low IQ of 64, Fox was deemed mentally competent for his trial. During his court proceedings, he confessed to the murders, but argued that he was provoked, leading him to commit the acts in a passionate outburst. Adding to his criminal record, in 2013, Fox was found guilty of a violent attack on a prison guard involving scalding water. Currently, he's incarcerated at HMP Wakefield, one of the UK's most fortified prisons. Regarded as a ruthless and heartless murderer, Fox is seen as one of the most menacing inmates within the UK's penal system. Number 2, Chris Watts, a high-profile convict from Colorado, is infamously known for the chilling murder of his pregnant wife and their 2 young daughters. In 2018, Watts admitted to guilt on several charges, including 9 counts of murder, illegal termination of a pregnancy, and tampering with deceased human remains. His wife, Shannon Watts, was in the early stages of her pregnancy when she was killed. Prior to the horrifying incident, Watts had a seemingly prosperous life, including a lucrative job in the oil and gas sector and a marriage that had lasted over half a decade. He was later discovered to have been involved in an extramarital affair with a colleague, expressing in interviews his desire to abandon his family to be with her. On a tragic day in August 2018, he took the lives of his family by strangulation within their home. Subsequently, in a disturbing act of concealment, he hid their bodies in oil tanks located at his workplace. The gruesome nature of his crimes caught international attention, leading to exhaustive probes into the background and history of the Watts family. In November 2018, Chris Watts was handed down 5 consecutive life sentences. He is now confined at the Dodge Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. Watts stands as a chilling testament to the fact that heinous acts can be committed by those least expected, a figure whose very name serves as a cautionary tale. Number 1, Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin is remembered as one of history's most ruthless and notorious dictators. As the leader of the Soviet Union from 1924 to 1953, he implemented policies that led to the suffering and deaths of countless individuals. Stalin's time in leadership witnessed heinous acts, like the Great Purge, as well as the forceful reallocation of entire communities to labor camps. Moreover, he established a repressive regime that stifled basic freedoms, including those of expression, media, and religious beliefs. To this day, the very mention of his name evokes memories of fear, oppression, and the immense toll of human lives.